kill the music, and we're back once again. Ta-da!
Yay!
We have most everybody here. Mike is enjoying himself at Wasteland, being a wasteland.
Wastelander.
Yeah, as a wastelander. Basically, it's like a Road Warrior Mad Max sort of setting.
Oh, cool.
That would be fun.
I think he actually loaded up a dune buggy to take there. So it's like they also Mad Max their vehicles and stuff too. So it's a big thing.
That's cool.
That just sounds like prepping for the future.
Kinda, yeah.
Ugh.
Eric and Missy were big into that.
We just need some. We just need somebody playing the guitar and have a flamethrower on the front of their modified like school bus or something like that. You know,
They
Extremely
probably
practical.
have somebody that does that.
Yeah,
We can build
sure
it.
They do.
One of the guys from that particular movie, that Mad Max, actually showed up. I can't remember who it was, but one of them did.
Oh wow!
The year before. So it's a pretty big deal. But anyways, enough.
Where's it out? Down in Arizona?
Somewhere
No,
in
it's in
the
California.
desert.
Oh,
Out in the desert, someplace in California. I don't know where specifically. But it's enough plugging of Wasteland.
yeah.
Back to this game. Dang it. Does somebody want to give us a recap of where we left off, and we'll take it from there?
Let's see here. Okay, yeah. So we were just talking about this a little bit with Justin. So
Dale just says ditto.
Yes.
haha, no. So last time we were talking a little bit in the vein about the charter to create for the legacy and so forth. But in the middle of us talking about that stuff, we had Lightbringer come in and explain that she had an adventure recently with others, including a Yankee girl, where they had fought some mutant trees. They were just trees of different sizes and species that just became animated, uprooted themselves, and started running amok downtown. She was able to do her thing, like using her power to deprive them of the energy they needed to like shrink them and stop them from running amok. And then it just happened again. And so we had to go. We had to fight them. The larger ones were creatures, and the smaller ones were entities. We fought them, smashed them, nearly broke a building, but fixed it. Lightbringer was shriveling them. Everyone else, all the strong people, were throwing more of those plant monsters into the shaded area so that Lightbringer could finish them off. And then, let's see here, Mosh Pit was using his magic in order to actually figure out what was going on in the area, because it seems that a portal had opened up where magical energy was flowing through, and that's what was animating all of the creatures and entities. So then he managed to close that, and that brought everything more or less back to normal. So that ended that fiasco. Then when the news team came by, they wanted to talk to Lightbringer to see what was going on, but she had already been injured and from using her powers and exhausted from that. So she deflected that. Didn't want to talk to the press, and so then Hyperion talked to them, trying to calm everybody down, letting everybody know that the legacy is there to protect the citizens of Strongford. And and we've got to find out what magical person is causing these entities and whatnot to appear. So there you go.
We go. Good recap. Close that down. There we go. All right. Large screen for me to see. Okay, so we are starting back off. It has been about 4 days from the last game, from when you guys were last in action. Stuff has obviously taken place or happened, and the world has moved a little bit closer to the sun. Oh noes. So, ooh, let's see. I take it then everyone is at the. I'm trying to call it the hive, and that's not correct. Is everyone at the vein
Yes.
except
No.
for Lightbringer then?
Well, yeah,
I guess
I'm there
so.
because I
Mhm.
live there.
Right.
But I came in very, very late.
Okay. Oh, like from like late the previous night. Okay. Well, that's
Yeah,
typical Sean behavior.
yeah, she was tiptoeing this time.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Hyperion's there because he's already always working on things.
Sure.
Yeah, he was not asleep. You wouldn't have woken him up.
Yeah.
He would have
She was-
noticed.
That's why she was tiptoeing.
Oh,
So then we'll pick up from the vein there. Everybody's waking up again, yet for another morning of fun-filled antics in the vein, and being busy bees and working, if that's so your thing.
Working out.
Sure.
Still trying to develop my powers further to be able to create an EMP, but I don't think it's working.
Speaking of that, real quick, Jerome, would Hyperion be able to try to make some calculations with the computer to see what he would need to do with his plasma to make the right type of EMP? Because Engler asked him to figure that out for him. Nice.
Sure.
Cool.
Run some
I
math.
do remember this part of the conversation. He did tell Hyperion that it might help Shion if she knew how to do the electrical waves because she can probably do it a lot easier.
Right. We actually have a different plan for Shone, so we'll get to that too. But yeah, let me. So am I rolling just reason?
Yeah.
Okay.
Indeed.
A green feat.
All right. So if he is going to attempt a feasible electromagnetic pulse EMP, he's going. Really, what it's going to come down to is he has to get more electricity. He has to command a higher amount of electricity. Otherwise, he's got a very potent static shock right now.
Okay.
Which
So
would
then once
He's more
weigh
current.
against ungrounded computers.
right,
Need
Okay.
more current.
he's working on that currently.
I know, great pun, right?
Wah, wah, wah.
So Hyperion, with his puns aside, goes ahead and walks over to the explosions he hears in the training room, which means his brother is there. Because where else? He pretty much lives in that room. Explosions and all.
Correct.
So he heads on in there, feels the wave of heat waft over him, and walks inside anyway. Says, Angler, if you have a moment.
Yes.
You asked not too long ago for calculations with regard to how to generate a more effective EMP with your current powers, especially with plasma. I've actually run some calculations for you, and honestly, with the powers that you're developing currently, it may be a better route for you to actually focus on generating more current, simply electricity, rather than focusing it through your plasma.
I thought that'd be the case.
It was an interesting theory, but especially since it seems you may be manifesting some
On the
of
replay.
our father's powers, at least initially. Use that to your advantage.
It's something I'll work on. Right now I'm trying to gain better mastery over the controlling and maintaining the shapes of the plasma.
To create specific forms with the plasma?
Yeah, and maybe to rip off a movie studio or two.
Interesting. I look forward to your progress. Let me know when you manage to accomplish one of these forms.
I can do a sword and shield pretty easy. Those are easy to do because it's easy to picture and to form in your mind how the shapes look. But if we're trying to avoid harming people, I don't think a sword is a very nice thing to use.
I would agree with you, yes. Using plasma in a non-lethal capacity would be difficult unless it was contained somehow.
True, but it gets worse than that. Is that some of the superpowered beings we've been dealing with have resistances to it, so it's weird trying to figure out what their power levels are, because all it takes is like what happened when we fought Blackout and his crew. All it takes is not realizing that that person couldn't breathe, and we realized how big of a mistake that was. But I don't think anyone realized that that was the case, and we thought it would take. We figured that we would have more time before he suffocated.
True.
Or she. I don't remember who it was.
Yes, it would seem that especially with their powers, they do need to be used as responsibly as possible. Just because a being may be super, it doesn't mean they're invincible. So,
Yeah, not everyone's going to be a president for life of a small nation.
yes, exactly. Well, I'll let you get back to your training. Good work.
Whenever Shion gets up, she needs to come in here and work on her electricity abilities as well. We need to find a way to disable mainframe, and an EMP is probably the best solution, even if he has begun to build a Faraday cage for himself further.
You may be correct in that. And depending on what other foes we run into, whatever technology they use, if it isn't shielded, it can be disrupted. She and I are actually working on updating what she can do, perhaps transducing her electrical current into a stun blast, similar to the stun cannons in this room. I believe that's where she might focus her efforts, since in a direct blast with electricity would still likely do damage to mainframe.
I'm telling you, a voltmeter on the wall, and you just have her hit it over and over and over again, and she just has to regulate how much power is going through it, would give her a great amount of control over those powers. What is it? 1.5 watts is enough to kill a person or something like that. It's not a lot.
No, it's less than 3 gigawatts.
Gigawatts.
It's actually less than 1/3 of 1 amp is what it is. It doesn't matter what the voltage is. Less than 1/3 of 1 amp will kill the average man if it goes across the body in the proper fashion. Out of character knowledge.
Yeah.
I knew it was something like that. I knew there was a stipulation to it.
I may or may not have a professional knowledge of that.
Right.
Yeah, it's the voltmeter would control how much he's actually outputting. I am sure there's more to it, and I would just have to sit down and do the research on it for additional control.
You'd have to look.
This is just the way. Oh no, he's talking to the Hyperion again. I just have to do something. I can't just sit around.
So,
All the stuff at the company I've got burning. I've got on a back burner. I don't think the UN's done with us, so I'm making sure all of my data stays on the up and up right now.
Excellent. It's good to hear. If anything does happen with your particular department, of course, let me know if you need assistance. And I do agree with you that Shone could, of course, work on controlling the amount of power. But as we've seen with others, such as those who we saw from the New Haven Institute, controlling a power isn't necessarily that simple. Some may be nearly uncontrollable.
Yeah, and unfortunately, we are not literal machines. And yeah, if I don't watch it, I could probably melt half a Strongford without even thinking about it. Same thing goes for Justin doesn't remember her name. Sagan. Sagan could probably do the same. I'm sure there are depths to my power, and I probably could just go supernova in the middle of a city and destroy it.
And I appreciate every day when you don't.
Again, Faraday cage for you. You might want to back up one. I was thinking about it. If I were to melt your outer casing, your core components, your heart, liver, all that stuff, you may want to have in a separate Faraday cage. It might help reduce the possibility of if we can get the EMP blast to work, might help reduce your downtime and getting back up on your feet.
I will see what I can do. I'll let you get back to your training. I have other things and individuals to speak to.
He'll nod and he'll go back to training.
So when
I'm not working on a power stunt. He's just like making shapes and trying to practice and use different things.
Sure.
Double shielding it, going all Doctor Strange.
Okay. Shown?
So when Hyperion comes back out, she is up. She's in the so-called kitchen area. She has her Garfield PJs on with her big giant bear claw slippers, dark sunglasses, and a big mug of coffee in her hand.
So then, walking in and seeing these sunglasses on her face, you partook in an abundant amount of alcohol last night, I take it.
Defined abundant.
If you were to remove your sunglasses, would the ambient normal light in this room injure you and cause you pain?
I have a slight headache.
I understand that you are going to enjoy yourself as many human beings do and as other biological beings do. I'm not going to lecture you on your activities since you do so well on the team. However, as your brother, it concerns me that you injure yourself. If you're not willing to decrease this behavior so that you avoid that, would you be willing to take one piece of advice to mitigate your pain? The coffee, yes, but as they say, a stitch in time saves nine. If you're able to remember during your drinking, try at the very end to drink at least 2 full glasses of water. Dehydration is one of the main reasons why you experience what they call a hangover. If you're able to do that, you could mitigate the effects the following morning.
I will keep that in mind. And
Did you
I
have fun?
actually, yes. I watched a new movie.
Interesting.
It was called Die Hard.
I believe I've heard of that. I've seen a preview for it on television.
It's a Christmas movie.
Amen.
Not according to
he's,
Bruce Willis. According to Bruce Willis, it's a Bruce Willis movie.
Of course.
Perfect.
The actor Bruce Willis was a badass. We could use him on the team.
Well,
And,
you understand.
And I do believe I heard my name being mentioned in the other room.
Yes. In fact, if you're able, I was wondering if you would want to work on the different machines that we were going to use for you, as far as creating the transducers to change your electrical bolts into stun bolts.
Well, you know what the humans say: no pain, no gain.
They do say that.
Let's do it.
Excellent.
Do I need to change?
No. You may want to obtain your gloves and bracers from your suit at the very least. You actually might as well wear your entire armor. I will need to run tests to make sure that when I modify your armor, it works properly for you.
So she'll push her whatever, and
Okay.
And so then we'll go ahead and she'll be blasting things in the training room, and he'll take some readings. And then, is there any way that we can look through the main computer to see if there are like schematics for the stun cannons themselves in the training room?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're
So then
there
he-
for repair purposes.
Nice. Okay.
so would this be considered a stunt?
This
I
would
don't know
just
what it is
be-
he's attempting to do. So
Yeah, this would just be Hyperion's going to make devices, which is just going to be essentially modifying Shon's gloves and bracers, so that when she makes fists, like when she's got her hands open, she can boom, boom, boom with her electrical bolts. When she makes fists and then tries to do an electrical bolt, the glove will turn it into a stun blast, like what comes from the stun
Okay.
cannons.
So it's not a power stunt. So then I can also work on her power stunt of multiple teleportations.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go ahead and roll.
They see me rolling. They hate it.
Green feet. At least it wasn't a white this time,
Gring,
but
gring.
not a red.
So then to create the devices, Jerome,
Mhm.
what would you like me to roll? Hyperinvention or
Yes.
something else?
hyper invention.
Nice.
Okay. So while he's working on that, she'll be in the training room with her other brother
He's
with
working
a big jug
on-
of water.
He is working on size and shapes. Anything from as small as a shot glass to a claymore right now.
Of plasma?
Yeah.
Okay.
All control things.
Got a white feet.
Sure. Okay. So that's gonna be a work in progress. You don't have anything as of yet that fits her body.
Okay. So then, yeah, after the testing and all that, Hyperion kind of makes some calculations at the computer, and he's like, "We lack some of the materials necessary to modify your armor accordingly. And once we acquire more resources, which will take some time, I'll effect the modifications." Let's see here. So then Hyperion goes to look to see where Ixion is.
Ixion
his
is also
lab.
there.
Okay.
In the lab.
In the lab. Okay.
Actively trying to experiment on my own and probably some of Lightbringer's genetics to see if I can affect the mutation that happened to her and I. More so that way I could possibly go back to my normal state.
Sure. Go ahead and you're gonna make a reason check as at this point to determine like can you break it down
Okay.
so you can study it more extensively.
And isn't it force? No, not /R. It's exclamation point.
Yep. Sure enough.
And you said reason?
Yep. and you have biology, so that bumps it up a column shift.
Oh, cool. So it goes from an RM to an incredible. How did that not work? Oh,
you
I
only have
forgot.
one L.
Oh, yeah, I have one L. Sorry. Oops. There we go. Yellow.
Nice.
Cool. Okay. Well, you
A
again.
solid yellow.
It's going to be something you're
Yeah.
going to have to make extended rolls to get figured out, but you're on your way.
Okay.
So
You
Is
basically
it,
Hyperion,
have- you
is
basically
it
have like a-
is it something that like a number that I can keep track of, like certain
No.
number of rolls or anything? Okay.
No. So you have
Okay.
like a working protein chain for the two of you, and now it's a matter of you can see. I mean, you can see obviously what brief similarities there are between the two of you. What you're going to need, it's going to take some time to figure out because you need to get a baseline for her, and then you need to get a baseline for you, and then start breaking down. Okay, well, here's the differences, and then after that, start breaking down. Okay, well, what caused the thing to happen, and then how did that mutate? So,
Right. Okay. And then
you'll have to do it
also,
in a couple steps.
have I heard anything on the ongoing broadcasts that I've been sending out into interstellar space, trying to reach?
That's a
or
great question,
find-
and so far you have had no updates.
Okay. So nothing coming back in Solanthian.
No, nothing as of yet.
so then Hyperion will head into the lab, see Ixion working. Say, Xenofreeze, how goes it?
I have isolated the protein chains in mine and Lightbringer's DNA to attempt to see, to narrow down what has affected us since Brazil, in hopes to bring us back to normalcy and to allow me to go back to normal physically.
I see. It's good that it sounds like you're making at least some progress. I'm sorry that it's so slow. I'm sure if we were able to get our hands on one of those Senian meta-activity transmitters, that might make your work that much easier.
That would be wonderful.
It does bring about possible idea.
I haven't made much advancement with my nanotechnology, but I haven't been working on it as readily recently. But I do have a power source down to the size of, somebody said, a Lego,
I see.
whatever that is.
Excellent.
So, the
Once we
longevity
have-
I've yet to see, but
Once we have more resources, we'll see about creating more of those and see if they can coordinate into accomplishing anything. Did you have a particular application they were going to be focused on first?
eventually our suits, because it's somewhat hard to, now that I cannot encapsulate my uniform, I am solely relying on my mirage techniques, if you will.
Understandable. Well, excellent. I'm glad that you're making progress. I'll see what I can do about finding more information about that technology to help you with your research there. Let me know if
Thank you.
you come upon anything else.
Absolutely. And if there's anything else, assistance that you may need from me, please let me know.
Will do. And Hyperion turns and he actually heads to the main computer to look in there because when let's see, who were they? The Protectors, the team from Boston, came to our place that one time with Citizen Soldier. They had asked us to start looking for those meta activity generator like decay signals because they were tracking that being smuggled into the country. And we had Mainframe at the time trying to look for that stuff. Was there any trace of that in the computer, like any logs of that happening?
Nope.
Okay. Let's see.
Go ahead and role play real quick. I'll be right back. One sec.
Uh,
Burb.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah. Let's see. So I guess then Hyperion would be like a Hyperion to Lightbringer. Do you read?
Great. I don't know if I can reach yet.
Or are you like in a weird position right now or place?
No, I'm just hanging out with Grandpa.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know what the range is.
It should still be unlimited because we didn't lose the satellite that lets us do that stuff.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I don't know what Jerome planned.
That's fine. Could be like that there something happened with the system. Can come to you later. Let's see. Then Hyperion heads back into the training. He's going to head back into the training room, and you know what? I can try for a power stunt myself. He's going to try to make his photonic copies tangible. Oh, not quite.
So you made Davy Jones laugh for some reason. I just came back and I see the Skeletor laugh was played.
Nice.
Yeah, we don't know what it was in response to because we can't hear it.
No, I know. It just happened that way.
Okay.
Davey, what was so funny?
But let's see.
Also,
okay.
maybe I should jump in.
Yeah. All right. So then Hyperion tried his power stunt. That didn't quite work out. So then he'll go ahead and go Hyperion to Lightbringer. Do you read?
Jerome, am I back yet?
Yeah.
Okay. Then I guess I'm at home. So I will respond. Hey, good morning. What's up?
Good morning. Just checking in to make sure everyone's all right and progressing with their development. Has anything happened with you within the past few days?
Oh boy. Yeah. Hey, is Ixion around?
He is.
I have some
Hyperion
stuff
to Xenofreeze. Are you there?
Yes.
It can wait till I get to HQ. I'll head over. I'll be right there.
Excellent. See you soon.
So she will head on over to the vein. Does Sagan come with her?
Yes.
We need to be a little more clear about where Sagan is and how closely she sticks, I guess.
Well, she's sticking on you like glue right now. How's that?
That works. Yeah, so I guess a short time later, they would both show up at the vein, and you know what? Let's go ahead and just gather so she can do another little info dump.
So Hyperion
Oh
calls for
man,
everyone
2
to
whole
gather
pages
to
of
the
just
ready room.
text.
Um, so, yeah, Lightbringer or Carmen will just like take a seat at the, in the, um, meeting room, whatever we call it.
Yeah, it's just a meeting room right there with the computer, where the computer setup is at.
Oh,
The
is that where it is?
conference table of legacy.
Conference table. That works. The conference
round-
room.
The round table.
While we're at it, this is some stuff that I was thinking we should probably add to the database too. So once everybody's there, she'll say, so I spent the last 24 hours or so with Jurgen, and there's been some interesting developments there. Specifically, do you remember the Tavaxian that I mentioned they captured a while back?
Yes, the one designated red.
Well, it turns out he has a name, as many things do. And his name is Noron, and he is delightful, actually. He's learned English, and he's something of a scientist in his people. And we spent some time together just chatting, and I think he could be a great resource. It's hard to convey all of the things that we chatted about, but some of the highlights were about the Dexamites, which you may recall were in the database. They were said to be an ancient alien race that had visited Earth a long time ago.
And they do seem to be conquerors and the makers of a Dexamite empire throughout interstellar space.
Right. So it sounds like Earth was kind of a hub for them. And I remember it said that they mixed their genetics with Earth peoples. And it turns out that, or it sounds like, the deviant gene is actually a marker of their genetics. And the frequency with which it pops up here on Earth is very indicative of that population. Noron said that elsewhere in the galaxy, you could go your whole life with only meeting 2 or 3 individuals with superpowers. So the reason
does this Noron have hair?
He did. I mean, he does again. But his people are at war with the Yubari, and he was captured by the Yubari and shorn. And he says, since he has been so dishonored, he is never able to return to his people.
I would be very cautious. A
Sure.
shorn Tavaxian, they reserve that for the most heinous of criminals.
Yeah, we spoke about that a couple of times, actually.
I would just urge you to be very cautious.
Of course. But I thought that you would find it very interesting. He said that his people had been blocking a Solanthe signal coming from Earth to prevent it getting out into the wider universe.
In an attempt to prevent Tyrix the Tyrant from following the signal back to Earth? Or
I
a different
think
reason?
simply in an attempt to keep Earth in quarantine.
What's the reason for that?
Because Earth has been in quarantine for thousands of years.
Do we know if that quarantine was instituted by the Dexamites or through some other means?
I don't remember if we talked about that. So I guess I don't know.
Why is Earth in quarantine?
And this is another thing that I'm sure we covered a long time ago, and now I don't remember. I'm pretty sure we knew that, though. Like, the Earth was off limits to other aliens. Like, we talked about that, right?
Hmm.
Well, being off limits and being in quarantine are two different things.
Well, that was the word that he used. I assumed it was the same thing.
Did he say why they are currently in orbit around Earth?
We didn't talk about that. My understanding is where things stand with the aliens is the Yubari are currently in contact with the Russians and helping the Russians with their technology. His people are at war with the Yubari. The reason that he came here was to try to find Electrum, who, by the way, is sort of a interstellar hero because of their what passes for news media between various planets.
That's not
Is
surprising.
this like a Three Amigos hero?
Like the movie?
Yeah, I'm asking, is it basically a bunch of hype based off of movies?
No,
Or is
I
he
don't.
actually
No. No, he has visited other planets and helped them with things, and so he is known,
Well,
and
we
Earth
know,
is known because of him. So,
and we know this to be true just by looking at our brother Exion,
right.
and he's traveled interdimensional.
He may
We-
have. We don't
may
know
have.
that for certain.
Well, he's come to my dimension because I'm a product of that visit.
True. Specific dimensional travel, he has definitely accomplished.
So, he came here looking for Electrum to help stop the war against the quarantine, but evidently was caught, I think, by the Yubari and his hair cut off, and then managed to cross the border, and New Prussia found him. So they've had him in custody, and he's asked, and this is maybe not our jurisdiction, but he wants to offer information about the rest of the universe in exchange for a measure of freedom. And I talked to Jurgen about him potentially living there in New Prussia, but I think he could be a great resource if we need to speak with U.S. government about this alien threat.
I wonder if it would be beneficial if Exion spoke with him.
I think that would be valuable for sure. I didn't tell him that. Okay,
Your half brother was a Solanthian.
he uh, he mentioned the Solanth on his own, and I didn't.
And what did he say other than that they are blocking transmissions?
He said that they had been blocking transmissions, and we were talking about Tyrax, and he said that the planet was destroyed, but there was a contingent of survivors congregated someplace called Zuobos.
Zorbos?
I don't know. Does that word mean something to you?
I would have to research it in my star map.
But we had been talking about other heroes potentially going to his home planet to help with this war. And just hypothetically, since there are so many superpowered beings here on Earth,
Could
and
could
he
it have been
mentioned,
Zuabos?
yeah,
That is a neighboring planet of Zenri.
Then you have still people. You are not the only one.
I asked him how long it would take to get to his planet. And he said, with the appropriate maps and ship, only 3 or 4 days. And I said, well, what about a Solanth ship? And he said, well, if you had one of those, I suppose it would make the trip. But the planet has been destroyed, etc., etc.
I am concerned about this meeting, but let me ask you a couple of questions. I take it then you were actually in direct contact and speaking with this Noron directly?
Right.
At any point in time, did you use your powers to determine if how he was feeling was deceptive at all when he was talking?
I neglected to do that.
I would be willing to have you accompany me, but I would not go as myself. I would mimic another or a random person in which I would not divulge myself to be Solanthian.
It's an
Um,
Only
understandable
when and
precaution.
if I began to trust him.
If you were to ask informed questions, he would definitely be suspicious.
I could perhaps
Is there another
pose
race?
as I could possibly do something that way. However, with the quarantine, it would raise more flags than what it would be worth. I think it would be even more obvious our subterfuge if I were to be, a Keswick or a Patorok.
Who
or
are
even-
who are your people's allies?
We were never a warring people.
But you had to still have allies.
Did you have contact with other planets?
We were a major hub of the galaxy.
So could you not portray one of them as a concerned ally of the Salant.
I suppose that would raise questions as to what that race was doing here on Earth.
The quarantine
Absolutely.
is what makes this difficult.
Yes.
So, what races are known to be here?
Are there any
Besides-
robotic races?
Mm, not as per se, no. There are, well, yes, the Ixus. They are a type of artificial intelligence.
Let's
The closest-
dress you up. Let's dress you up in a costume like the Ixus, and then we
You
can
mean-
say
you
that
mean
you
like this, and I look like something you haven't seen before.
if that's what they look
Remember,
like.
I can do this.
Excellent.
And
Derek,
then we
you would
can-
not be able to mimic the Ixus.
Oh.
No?
No. Let me give you a picture and it will explain why.
Oh, okay. All right.
They have like
1 sec.
6 legs and they're 12 feet tall.
Oh yeah, there you go. Just
That's all.
we'll throw all the things out there.
Um,
because
and
we're
they speak
trying
in
to find,
binary.
Well,
You-
it says
we-
few ever leave their home system, but the few that are ever seen appear similarly humanoid in size and form.
Yeah, 1 second.
So we also, I talked to him about Tyrax, and he didn't suggest he had. He wasn't involved in any of the wars with Tyrax directly, so he didn't feel that he had much to offer as far as potentially facing him, but
That must be a full-sized one.
That is correct.
Oh, dang.
I did
Duly
talk
noted.
to Jurgen about Tyrax too, and about how we would potentially need some kind of a coalition of superheroes to be able to take him down. So we need to think about some way of doing that.
At this point, Tyrex lives up to his name, Tyrex the Tyrant. There are very few, from my knowledge, that have ever sided with him. And when they have, he has utilized them, and if they become even remotely a thorn in his side, so to speak, he destroys them. He is a tyrant. He is seeking his own power and his own dominion. Anybody on our planet here should side with us, regardless of what our current status is with them. The enemy of my enemy is my friend, if you will.
I hope that they'll see the sense in that, but still, I think it would be beneficial to let them know what's coming and the seriousness of this threat.
Hopefully.
Ixion, with your knowledge of interstellar space and society, before you had mentioned that the Tavaxians were their own part of that space, their own faction, if you will. And it seemed as if they specifically were hostile and typically didn't allow any outsiders to encroach on their territory, which would have seemed as if that would be why they were at war with the Ubari. Would there be any reason for this particular scientist, Noron, to lie about what his race does or why they're at war with the Ubari?
Not that I would know of off the top of my head. It has been some time, and anything could have happened between now and then, because my information and correspondence with any races other than Earth native and those that we have come in contact with since I have been with the Legacy has been nil. So any advances or regressions in the last, how long have I been here, Jerome? Probably about 10 years ish.
No.
Is it less than that or more?
At this point, including gameplay, you've probably been here about 2 years.
2? Oh,
Mhm.
okay. So I've only been here for 2 years, but anything since, and things change. But as we well know, with the destruction of my home,
Then perhaps we need coordinated efforts to fully understand what's happening, especially with regards to the Devaxians, the Ubari, and Tyrix the Tyrant. Gathering forces here would, of course, be easier, but at the same time, if we can actually move into interstellar space and explore, that could be beneficial, finding individuals beyond just Earth, even
I can
if it's
reach.
unlikely to find those who are superpowered beyond Earth.
I could reach out. I could hail the Tavaxian vessel. We could go as the Legacy. And in the event that we were met with hostility, then we would be together.
Is this something that we would want to run past the government? I'm sure they have thoughts on how to handle interstellar relations.
Far be it from us to inadvertently start an interstellar war that we are
Right.
clearly not prepared to fight. Perhaps speaking with Noron and gaining as much information as possible could be advantageous. Granted, he is ostracized, sounds like permanently, from his own race. He will still understand his race better than literally anyone else we know of. Lightbringer, how much access would we be able to have if we were all to speak to him?
I'm not sure what Jurgen would think about that.
What would he think about me speaking to him?
I think he would be more understanding about that. But also, I guess we just need to explain specifically what our needs are beyond the personal. And that would be hopefully sufficient to explain why we need to speak to him.
It would seem to me that your grandfather already knows why he would want to speak to this individual.
Right.
Because your grandfather is not ignorant to the fact that my race or my planet has been destroyed.
Exactly.
I'm just trying to tread carefully as far as, I guess you could call it jurisdiction. I'm trying to respect boundaries that probably should be
And of
there.
the boundaries of my race?
No,
my
no, no, no,
home?
no.
Well, the truth
I don't
is,
want
if
to.
you're the
I
the
don't
truth
want
is-
to ask for things that are going to be dangerous for me to ask.
Is this Noran a prisoner of your grandfather's?
Sort of.
No one is sort of a prisoner. They either have freedom or they don't.
Exactly.
He is detained. He has conveniences, but he is not
he has
able to.
privileges.
He is not able to move about, and I think it's a security measure. And I just want to tread carefully. The whole
Would you be willing
politics
to
thing.
call your grandfather? He knows me,
Yes.
and he, regardless of what his opinion or stance of the matter is, it is water under the bridge, and I understand this, but he stole technology from me. That is the long and short of it.
True. The odds that he would be reasonable in dealing with that type of request is minimal, because nothing could make him do what he doesn't want to do. We, of course, understand your plight, Ixion. Definitely. However, there's clearly a boundary here that we need to find a way to circumvent, or simply penetrate entirely. Lightbringer.
We could possibly put forth the fact that Tyrex the Tyrant, when and if Tyrex were to come here, poses a huge threat to not only
Isn't that the
us,
reason he's trying to build
but
the
the
moon
entire
base, though?
world.
That would seem to be one possibility. He is, of course, now aware of interstellar society and hostilities elsewhere. Therefore, he would want to try to protect at least New Prussia, if not Earth. Because if Earth is being attacked, the entirety of it would be. Lightbringer, why do you think simply asking for an audience again with Neuron would be disadvantageous? You seem very reserved or scared about this.
New Prussia is a fairly new country. A very new country, I guess, as countries go.
True.
And President Albrecht doesn't have the traditional organization that you would expect. And so I think I'm just trying to respect the development of the country by trying to go through traditional channels that
Rather
are
than through your
undeveloped.
father because of your relation to him.
Right.
I see.
I definitely can ask. I had hoped that we could arrange something, but I just want to have some restraint and not take advantage of.
I'm curious of something, and please do not take offense, because it is something that I have wondered about. Would your grandfather be on the same page if he needed information from you?
What do you mean?
You are cautious to ask for things because you want to keep it political and not personal. Would he also do the same?
I don't know.
Something tells me he would not.
The truth is that it's going to always be both business, personal, and political with you two. There is no.
I don't know how you can separate it.
It's like the relationship with the other two triplets. There is no way avoiding a political or very public discussion with them, with me and them.
How do you navigate that?
Well, they ignore me. I leave them rotten voicemails when I get wasted because they're a bunch of insensitive. I can use other words, but I'll be polite. No, it will always be all intermingled together. There is no sidestepping the business from the personal, from the political.
So if something of a
And how do we
political
know that?
nature came along,
How do we know he just hasn't broken into the Tabaxian's mind and read all the details? And it's the impetus for him wanting to put a moon base to protect Earth.
Is that something he can do? I don't think
If
he can
he
do that.
can't, I am sure he has one or two superpowered beings who have high levels of mental telepathy.
That is
I
true.
apologize if I'm being too rough with that. We've been dancing around this issue for about half an hour now, and it's not getting us anywhere.
What channel would we take if not through your direct connection to him? Suggestions?
Sagan? I am assuming that she is somewhere around here listening to our conversation.
She was standing behind Lightbringer the whole time, so you guys are just kind of like talking around her. Because as I stated, she was following Lightbringer.
Yeah, like glue.
Mm-hmm.
I guess I'll look at Sagan and say, what do you think?
About the topic at hand?
Yeah.
You can always reach out to your grandfather. I could do so on your behalf. I mean, that's not an issue either.
Lightbringer, is this also a matter of trying to prevent the legacy from being seen as being in league with New Prussian forces?
It's definitely a concern if that's something that we're trying to be careful about.
I think that particular ship has sailed at this point. There will always be, for lack of better phrasing, that particular stink on us. And he will look at Sagan, I don't know a better way to phrase that. I'm trying to be polite at the moment.
Then how about leave it alone? You forget I have sat around and listened to you rant repeatedly about a man who has brought peace and unity to my people, while you have effectively kind of shuffled everything around to just angry words. Sorry, ma'am. I've held on to this long enough. So much to the effect that you've let a crazy psycho supercomputer decide that it needs to solve the quote-unquote war crimes and war criminals issues. So maybe it's more of a you need to check your own role and stay in your own lane than so much of the quote-unquote stink that my people seem to be giving you. Because last I checked, they've done nothing but good for you.
Oh, it's not
you
your
especially.
people, just your leader.
It's understandable. There are clearly different viewpoints here. Jurgen has done many impressive things, and also at the same time abominable things. This is undeniable. It is historical fact. However, what has happened in the past has happened, and what is happening now is something we must deal with. Even though he may have done terrible things in the past, he is clearly attempting to create something better now. Whether or not that's for the ultimate good of all people. So far.
And I am the person who suggested an out that both supplies him with a optimal way to say, I care more about the people of Earth, and I put my own feelings to a side if people will recall that.
He
And for the
has,
most part, in the last couple of weeks, I've held my tongue on the subject.
he has agreed that he's going to supply the bulk of the resources for the base. As far as putting that into motion, I think we're just waiting to hear back from the senator. Also, we need, as soon as they're free, we need to update them on the Tyrax issue, and Ms. McCall wants to be there to back us up on that.
At the moment, it seems we have nothing new technically to back up to update with regard to the Tyrex issue, unless your visions have changed at all, or if you've had any additional.
The update that I mean is the seriousness of the problem, the scope of the threat that we're facing. We haven't had a chance to update the senator on that. That's what Ms. McCall wants to be around to talk about.
One thing that we could possibly do, it would take the coordination of more than likely multiple world leaders. We could attempt to join the Galactic Union. The Galactic Union is at least currently, as far as my relatively recent knowledge, collectively 8 different races with neutral allies, if you will, in addition to. But the Galactic Union mostly were liberations from the Dexamite Empire, my people included. And one of those races, the Duridian, are actually the race of Tyrex. We may be able to, with a allyship with them, glean information that would help us. Most of these races are not super, if you will. They do not have additional powers other than technology or firepower, but that does not come into play much when it comes to Tyrex.
Are all Duridians as exceptionally strong as he, or is he unique amongst his species?
I believe that he is one that has the gene from the Dexamites.
Fascinating how one race has done so much to interstellar society just from their genetics alone.
But most of their people, they are almost of a granite type composition, rock-like. But they are peace-loving, and most of their race disdain war, hardy as they may be.
Then he is definitely counter to the culture of that race, it sounds like.
Yes.
Has he ever made his wants or desires known? He goes to planets to destroy them, but why?
What would that be, Jerome?
Great
Just to
question.
conquer?
You didn't study that in your school.
Right. We
They-
just know that
they,
he's a conqueror.
Yeah, you had the very base minimal. Like the only thing that you really know is that he in that war he came really close to conquering almost all the known galaxies, and he ripped the universe a new hole, for lack of a better term, to the extent. And this is one of the reasons why your planet became such a hub, is because the Allied forces that were left congregated to far off star systems to try and rebuild, and your system was one of them.
Which is why it probably pissed him off and he wanted to wreak vengeance on my planet.
Maybe.
Well,
But
if
I am
you'll excuse me,
intrigued.
I'll go make a phone call.
Thank you, Lightbringer.
Would you like me to accompany you?
I don't think it's necessary. But so we're all
If he would like to speak with me, I will keep it civil.
okay.
Because maybe he has questions for me that he may want to know. I'm sure the Tavaxian does not have as much information that I may have available to me, considering that I have still my ship. Even though he was able to glean some of the technology, it is highly unlikely that he was able to get everything from it because it is in my specific language.
Okay. So I will excuse myself from the room
Sure.
and go call Grandpa.
Okay. You're going to have your fingers reach out and touch someone.
Yes.
An appropriate commercial for the time frame we're in right now.
Yeah, exactly.
So, okay, so you tap in through your communicator. This is relay 229. How can I assist?
Hi, Lightbringer for President Albrecht, please.
Hold one moment, please. And then you hear, just can't get enough. I just
It's
can't
like when
get
you call
enough.
your dad's office at
Just
work.
Yep. I just can't get enough. Da, 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 da. See, they're classier. Their whole music is Depeche Mode.
Nice.
And then you hear the a person patch you back on through, patch the line back through. Lightbringer,
Yes?
you're calling so quick. Is everything all right?
Oh, yeah, I know it's, I know I was just there. I was telling Xenofreeze about my conversation with our new friend, and
Mm-hmm.
He had a lot of questions about his people.
Whose people?
The Solanth.
Oh, his own people then. Okay.
I don't suppose that we could have a group interview with Noron.
Define group.
The legacy.
Well, I'm not going to say no. However, there would be a stipulation for the one brother that I'm certain you know is coming.
What is the stipulation?
He gets to stay in a cell for his duration of the stay. And he would be released upon the finishing of your conversation.
Wait, so he would not come in with us?
That is correct. Or you can just leave him at home.
There's no budging on that.
This is a matter of state security at this point.
Okay, I will pass that along. I'm sure we can work something out either way.
All right. Well, let me know. I'm certain there's probably going to be some sort of modification to this, so I'll go ahead and make sure that our friend is prepped.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.
Of course.
And she will hang up and rejoin the group.
How did it go?
As well as can be expected, I suppose.
We're set up for cake and ice cream next week.
He is amenable to Legacy joining an interview with Noron. However, he would prefer that Freddie excuse himself from the visit.
No sweat off my back.
And what were the reasons for that?
I think he's made himself clear that he's no friend to the country, or that's their understanding. And as a matter of security, you have to understand that Noron is in a very secure location of the base, and I think they're concerned about state security.
It's because he is president for life, and I am openly sedacious.
You're openly sedacious about quite a few things, which is why we have a rogue computer.
I would venture to say that you're openly hostile towards him.
That too.
Sagan is doing her level best to keep a straight face.
You do have a habit of rubbing people the wrong way, brother.
I'm not surprised.
I understand.
If I could cooperate better, I would probably be with the Justice Legion as well with the other two right now. Kissing the glorified butterfly's ass.
It doesn't mean you have to be kissing anyone's behind. But sometimes it's best.
It is
When-
perfectly fine. If
when you
President
can't
for Life
say
Jurgen does
something
not want me
nice-
in his country, I will not be in his country.
Yeah, but I'm trying to make a point that if you can't say anything nice, sometimes it's best to say nothing at all. I heard a wise human say that once.
Yes, and in the 1930s, a lot of really nice people failed to say anything bad about their government leaders.
This goes much further than that.
The reason why presidents, not just presidents for life, because Jurgen is not the only one.
I
The reason
don't
why
know.
presidents for life.
I don't know that he's going to be president for life. The country's only like 3 years old.
And who on the planet can stop him at the moment?
He may not
we pull
want
our
to
powers-
be president for life.
If we pull our powers all together, we might be able to bring him to a stalemate. Maybe.
That's not what I'm saying.
But why would we have to?
The
I
point
mean,
is,
you're always
even if tomorrow he
always
were to
going
turn
with the
himself
worst
into the
conspiracy.
international court, he still would be there on his volition. Not because it's the right thing to do, but it's because what he wanted to do. And any crime assigned and any punishment assigned to him is based entirely off of his power, not the government's. Not the rest of the world, his. Because there's no single force right now that we know of that can stand up to him.
Isn't that kind of the point? Is that if he decided to do that, it was because he decided that was the right move?
I mean, that's something that you've been harping on for quite a while.
it seems that he has the firepower and
And what if one
the
day he
overall
decides he doesn't
power
want
to
the
do, exactly
the
these things
Russian
that you are
food?
thinking he might, but he has not.
Agreed.
As a matter of fact, he's actually done quite the opposite
He has
in many
exhibited
occasions.
immense restraint. If he were of a mind to conquer the planet, don't you think he could do it?
No,
But
Probably could.
that's not what he's doing.
he would actually fail. He himself would survive. However, there would be a significant amount of resistance. The entire world would readily realize what's going on, and they are not the monopoly on superpowered beings. They would be fighting the superpowered beings of the rest of the Earth simultaneously, on literally every possible front. This is why I believe he would not actually attempt that. He's clearly going to protect his own. It doesn't suit him at all to actually engage in a war that he may win, but at the cost of possibly billions of lives, including many superpowered beings who would then be forced to destroy each other, and possibly the worst war this world would ever see.
And
He's
he
not going to do
And
has.
that.
I'm not even
He
saying he is
actually.
uncaring.
Wait. He also has something a lot more precious to lose than his country. And she looks at Lightbringer.
True.
I'm
You,
not.
for right now, are his humanity.
All I am saying is something that's a little bit simpler. I'm saying he cares about his country, and maybe because his country is on Earth, he cares about Earth being wanting to prevent it from being taken over
Well,
by
of
aliens.
He
course,
would need to.
I,
It's not altruistic.
I'm not an Earthling, but I, as well, care about what happens to Earth because this is where I reside.
Understandable.
The thing is,
And
Freddie, is
again,
that sometimes you're
I'm not
just
going to keep my mouth
too
shut
vocal.
about war criminals. But if a war criminal does not want me in the country where he is president until he decides that he is no longer president, then I'm fine staying in Strongford. There are things I can do around the city that will actually help people besides becoming an isolationist nation.
Duly noted.
They're not isolationist either.
And I think you also need to keep someone else in mind, Freddie, and that is your own sister. Your
And
words,
I
your
said at the
words
beginning of this argument
affect.
that if he does not want me there, I will be fine staying home. And then all of this burst out.
You
Be
have a
all
tendency not to see the whole picture.
brothers and
It
sisters.
doesn't
One moment,
matter.
please.
It matters to quite a few of us.
Brothers and
One in
sisters.
particular.
This is true. We are getting off topic and off the rails. Let me attempt to put us back on. First off, we have individuals here who don't appreciate it when the leader of their country is treated poorly, no matter how we think about them, no matter what they've done in the past that may have hurt others. What they do now is benefiting millions, including Sagan. From now on, I suggest we do not refer to Jurgen as a criminal, at least openly. You are allowed to have your opinions, of course. However, we are a team. We need to be united here, regardless of who we enjoy, who we hate, or anything in between. I know I'm one to talk, being what I am, and not possessing the full range of emotions that most of you do. However, I can see what it's doing. It's causing damage, which isn't necessary. We can unite under different banners, and we don't need to tear ourselves apart because of one individual. From now on, while within the vein, no one is going to refer to any other world leader, Jurgen included, as a war criminal or anything else of that nature. Are we agreed on this point so far?
Fine.
I'm agreeable.
Thank
I
you.
think you speak great wisdom.
I appreciate that.
He speaks compromise. Wisdom
Because
has
it's
no part.
necessary.
Okay,
We
can you
need to
for
compromise.
once, just once, not have the last word?
I regularly don't have the last word.
You always.
I'm only doing
have the
this
last
because
word.
it's annoying you now.
And I really wish that I could
I will-
zip your lip.
I will ready the ship.
Okay.
And Hyperion turns to Sagan. Sagan, on behalf of the legacy, I apologize for the insults that you've had to listen to. Keep in mind, we are clearly trying to do what's best for not just one country, but all countries on Earth. I hope that you don't take too great offense.
Interesting that you single me out, but I understand. I am not a part of your team. I'm here to assist and protect Lightbringer. That being said, I think I think if you want to get biblical, he who is without sin throw the first stone, and let's just leave it at that.
Understood.
I don't know how much it would mean, but Sagan, you are a important individual to this team.
Oh, well, thank you. And
Believe
I
And-
would like to add tertiary side note to the whole argument, and it isn't meant to take jabs at anyone in particular, but I do believe one of the reasons why Mainframe did what he did is because President Albrecht provided you with information that all of you, all of the team, again, I'm not going to cast aspersions, was provided regarding illegal detention camps of deviants within Russia. And no one acted on that.
So, do you think that that might be where Mainframe might be putting all his focus on? Or
I don't think so at this point, but if I had to take a guess, there's no way he's going to leave it untouched.
Do you think that has something to do with the Yubari?
somebody helped him get this stuff out of here?
Ma'am, I can't really say. I haven't been linked into that particular operations protocol since I've been back. But again, the big reason why Russia was doing what they were doing is they were behind in the arms race. They collapsed because they failed in the Cold War. The quickest way to get back on their feet is to weaponize deviants.
Hyperion, is there a way that we can put like some kind of watch on Russia for
Signs of mainframe?
yeah, thank you.
That would be difficult, especially considering Mainframe is, at this point, an intuitive master of understanding telecommunications technology, the internet, and so forth. Tracking him could be possible, but he would clearly know how to cover his tracks. And
Well-
I'm still working on redeveloping our systems so that it's more interactive so that that type of task can be accomplished.
You were part of Mainframe's creation, were you not?
I am his creator, yes.
So you have to outthink the creation.
I know you are not a parent, and by my understanding, no one here is, but I have observed other parents when I first tried to understand and interface with human society. And it seems that a common theme amongst those who care about their offspring is that they want their children to surpass them. I'm not sure if he has in that regard, but I understand where you're coming from. I do need to determine what to do. That's one reason why I am trying to re-energize effectively the vein, make it better, without a cognitive AI controlling it this time.
I don't think you were wrong in having a cognitive AI. I think where we failed mainframe was in his overall education.
And not getting him some pants.
Pants.
And it is possible that he may show up on spy satellites, depending on how he was traveling.
We could have solved all this with a pair of dungarees, man.
No, if I
Dildo.
remember right, he did not want pants, which is one of the reasons why he would call a few of us errors.
No, he only referred to angler as syntax error.
Oh, yeah, he called Sean syntax error a couple times, and then he forgave her. But it was mostly Freddie. I will say that
Poor Freddie
I do
keeps running his mouth.
I do miss mainframe, and not for my own monetary gains. I do miss having him around, and I wish there was some way to bring him back to our side.
As
Yeah,
do I.
kind of miss the interface too.
Do you think it's possible that we could bring him back?
The probability of him changing his mind and returning to us in any form, I would think, is likely what Freddy is indicating now, or at least extremely close to zero.
So
this
we won't
point-
have a choice. So our only choice is to destroy him?
Maybe he's just operating on incomplete data. We
He is
didn't.
absolutely doing that.
We didn't.
We didn't educate
Yeah, I mean, I don't
properly.
know that that's something that we were. I didn't know that was something we were supposed to do, but.
Well,
And an EMP wouldn't kill him necessarily. It would probably just shut him down long enough for us to physically detain him. Because there's no way, if he is birthed from Hyperion's mind, that he is not wrapped parts of his body in a Faraday cage so his consciousness remains.
He will clearly upgrade himself with whatever he can with what he has available. And if he has sentient technology available, his upgrades will be significant. Although it's unlikely he would have my technological understanding, he would have enough highly intelligent beings, if not super intelligent beings, to assist him with whatever he needed at this point.
if it's all possible, I would like to bring him back before destroying him.
Perhaps in time he could become a separate individual member of the team.
My thoughts exactly.
So
Which
Sagan looks to
one of-
Lightbringer and says, "Should I just go ahead and make the call while you're debating, ma'am?"
Yes, please.
So she steps out.
I mean, that was one of the reasons why we were discussing getting him a body, so that he could join us on missions.
At this point, he's taken that upon himself, obviously. And with him stealing all of the superpowered analyzation gear from Quantum Unlimited, it would seem that one of his goals may be to emulate what we are doing. But
I just find
in a
it
more
odd that he has not tried to reach out to any of us.
there would be no need. He believes we're inefficient and ineffective in what we do, and has decided to do it in a different way.
And he was our information hub. Whenever we had a question about something we didn't know, we reached out to Mainframe to get it.
He's
So you
developed
don't-
those skills.
So you don't think that he has the capability of, I don't know how to put this.
Changing his mind.
Yeah, I mean, well, kind of like with you. I mean, you have a semblance of what family is. Do you not think that mainframe is incapable of the same?
He may have been. However, he may be within a type of recursive loop, a problem in computer logic, that if he is stuck in one particular mode, anything that would change his mind would inadvertently keep him in that cycle of thinking. The
Well, what
variable
if we
will
were to
change
put
beneficially.
something out there that might change his mind? We know that he feels that we were inadequate in doing our job. What if he gets the information that we are supposedly back on track? Do you think he might reach out to us then?
No, because
If
his method is to be more ruthless. That's apparently what his change is, seeing as that's what he attempted against President Ronald Reagan's life. He's trying to assassinate them. He's trying to destroy them because trying to apprehend them is inefficient and incorrect in his mind.
And so Sagan comes walking back in and just kind of says in general, she says, then the four of you are cleared to go.
Thank you, Sagan.
Are we flying or are we teleporting?
I think it'd be best to fly. I still don't know New Prussia that well, and I don't think you want to wind up in somebody else's closet.
Sagan kind of chuckles. She says, you can just step outside the vein and we can take it from here.
I see. Then, everyone coming, armor up, angler. If you need us or if anything happens, please reach out to us immediately.
Freddie,
do.
will you do me a favor while we're gone? Will you figure out some way to measure my output?
He said that he made that device for you before I went on before I went into the ocean searching for the rest of the pearl.
We can use devices within the workshop to measure electrical output. That should not be an issue if that's what you're looking for with training yourself.
Out of character, y'all did say that y'all made her a device that can measure what her output is.
I don't remember.
Because it was the
if we
one
did or
thing.
not.
I don't remember.
Yeah,
That's fine.
'cause it's
Just
right
just treat it in character. She
Yeah.
Yep.
didn't know, so.
Yeah, I don't remember. Well, if that's already been done, then I will just start using it, I guess, when I get back. Brother, I don't hate you.
I don't
And
either.
I hope that you don't think that I do. I just think that sometimes it's best to, what is it they say? Agree to disagree. And she will walk over and give Freddie a hug.
You'll hug her back.
Okay.
Now, just FYI, I am known as Lightbringer. My civilian name is not public knowledge. So anytime that I'm in anywhere in New Prussia except alone with my grandfather, then I wear my uniform.
Well, I would hope that none of us are civilian identity.
I'm sorry, what was that? You're kind of.
You're breaking
Yeah,
up.
your
Yeah,
mic
I'm
was.
breaking up. I would hope
That's
that
better.
I would hope that none of them know our civilian identity.
Right. I'm just saying, while we're there, we should be in uniform.
Of course. Standard
Oh,
protocol. When we're in a group as this, we should show up as the legacy.
Yeah,
Right.
I'm not going as Miranda.
Oh, just FYI.
Sure.
Just FYI.
I'm ready to go.
So you take the elevator down to the secretive entrance at the base of the mountain.
Does anybody tell me?
Yes.
I went to go
Did
ready
you-
the ship.
Oh, no, that's right.
Shoot.
So then, as we're leaving, if you're in the ship, then Hyperion would be like, Hyperion to Ixion, we're actually going to be teleporting. Meet us outside of the base, near the elevator.
Would we want to bring the ship in the event that we wished to rendezvous with the Tavaxians?
Well, we can always go home.
Teleportation will be sufficient, at least for the time being. If we do need the ship, we can immediately return and then use it.
Duly noted. I will meet you in the exit.
Okay, so with that little tidbit, everybody goes down the elevator. Back to the secretive entrance to the front of the mountain, and Sagan calls it in that it's 5 to port in, and
Star Trek.
Beam me up.
Yeah, so say Star Trek style.
yeah, basically, there's a brief sound, almost as if sheet metal is being wobbled, and then poof, you guys are standing on a pad. There are about 15 armed guards here.
Oh, so this must be how you guys feel when this happens.
And then Carmen's gonna wave to the guards.
So they're all business. They obviously they don't show any sort of difference whatsoever. Sagan, begins going through a protocol with them to check everybody in. They start running scanners over you to ensure that there's no devices that are capable of broadcasting for the time being. You're of course told that those devices will be jammed for the duration of where you're at, given the area that you're going to be going in. They also let you know that the section of the building that you're going to be going in also has a field around it that blocks teleportation. So please do not attempt to do so, and they look specifically at Shone. If you don't only hurt yourself, you run the risk of death.
Understood.
And then they accompany four of them break away and accompany you walking through the halls. Basically, this was like in a way a transport room, but much larger, not like the small little porter where you just beam up like 5 people or whatnot. It's more like an actual like large disc where they could send a whole vehicle if necessary, or several crates or whatever. So it's a mass transit. You're brought through several security checkpoints. Everything here is kept spotless. It's very much like a well-kept military base, until you end up getting to their science labs, where most of the individuals in here look like Sagan's normal uniform that you saw her in. Science police patrol this area regularly. Of course, many of them don't look the same. They're all humanoid, but because many of them are very noticeably deviant, some of them have, telltale signs that they're inhuman for one reason or another. Maybe they've got like a rocky exterior, or they look like a humanoid goblin, or just whatever happens. It's just if you're a deviant, you're employed. Trained, of course, as well. But when you get up to this room that they have, it actually looks like what they did is they converted a spare lab into kind of like a holding bay for him, because there's windows along the side that you can see, in there, and he's got like a bed, and there are 2 chairs. You can see a large flat screen TV that he uses. There's a couple lamps. I mean, it really looks like a nice plush room. And for those of you who haven't had money, it's kind of envious. It's like, oh, I want that. And you can see him in
Wow,
there.
this is bigger than my first apartment.
And so he's got he has short kind of black hair, little on the spiky side. It's about the length of Dale's hair right now. Obviously red skin, yellow eyes. He's missing some digits on his hands and feet, and he has no nose. Otherwise, he looks fairly human, except a little bit bigger, both in bulk and height. So just by glancing at him, they're probably physically superior to humans as a whole. And at that point, they open up the door and invite the rest of you in. And he turns and looks and he says, Lightbringer, welcome back. I was not expecting to see you again so soon. And you brought friends, giving the color palette of the individuals?
Yes. I hope you don't mind the visit. This is my team, the Legacy. This is...
Oh, yes, that is a thing on this planet where many of you congregate in vigilante teams of some nature, correct? I seem to be seeing some mention of something similar on TV.
This is Hyperion, our leader. This is Chone and Xenofreeze. Everyone, this is Noron of Theonis and former guard-elect of the Tavaxian Empire.
And so he smiles and he says, "You remembered. I only mentioned that once. Thank you very much for that honor."
It's just a pleasure to meet you.
He says, regretfully, I only have 2 chairs, but I will offer them to either of you. My bed will be suitable for sitting purposes as well.
I'm
Thank
gonna
you
let
for
you
the
stand.
offer. I will also
But
stand.
thank you.
I'll take a seat.
Okay.
I guess somebody should sit. I'll sit.
Yep. And so he kind of looks and you hear him go, but you obviously do not see any nose, which is weird. And he says, "Interesting. You have a Salanthi amongst you."
You were able to tell that by smell.
Oh, yes. They smell quite different than Terrans.
Out of curiosity, is that a typical strength for your olfactory senses amongst your species?
It is. Yes.
Fascinating.
We have a sort of hyper olfactory sense. It is something that I discussed briefly with Lightbringer. We do not clearly have a nasal cavity as your kind have. Ours are pores through our skin.
I'm going to take the opportunity to read his, do an empathy check.
You're going to aura perception?
Yes.
Okay, perception, empathy, difficulty.
It's a
It's a very
difficulty
vibrant
8.
pattern.
You're like,
With
wow, he
black
looks like
line.
one of those LED lights.
Let's see.
Yeah, he looks like my sign.
Right, yeah.
And I got a 92, which is red.
Red. Wow. Red for Noron, who is red-skinned. Appropriate. He's actually very curious at this point. And a little unsure, given that there's other individuals here.
We had some questions about your people and the way of things outside of Earth.
Of course, I would be happy to attempt to illuminate as best as I can. I did speak to your president here recently, and he seems amenable to the terms that we discussed.
Oh, that's wonderful. I'm so glad.
So if I can be of any additional assistance, I am more than happy to do so.
Could you
Wonderful.
tell us about this quarantine?
The room that I'm currently in.
No, the quarantine on this planet.
Oh, you mean upon Sol? Of course. You have to understand that my people are not a part of the Galactic Union. So there may be a degree, one way or the other, of some sort of bias, be it unintentional or intentional. But to the best of our knowledge, that stemmed directly from the fallout of the war with Tyrax and Electrum's involvement.
So the quarantine on Earth is to protect Earth?
That I can't honestly say. All that I know is that Electrum was known to have come from this planet. He led the final wave of the assault against Tyrax and the remainder of his forces. And when he was disposed of, there was some sort of quarantine of Saul. I don't know if it was a disagreement. I don't know if it was an agreement. We were not clearly a part of that, other than it made the news.
Other planets are not afraid of the denizens that live here, are they?
Oh, you were
Because-
seeking to find out information. Oh, I see.
Because
How'd you answer
Electrum is from this planet, they're not afraid of others that are like him.
They are, but you have rodents on this planet, yes? I think that is the appropriate term.
We do several varieties.
Yes, so they see you as mutant rodents. With
They
the
look
exception
down
of
upon Earth.
Electrum, who I think carries the weight of Dexamites, so that they saw him differently. So I think it's, in thinking out loud, perhaps this quarantine is more to keep them safe than any concern it is of what happens to you.
To keep the rodents from expanding
Correct.
outside of the planet.
Yes.
Are Dexamites not well thought of?
No. No, they are not.
They seem to be a conquering race.
Yes, they were. Many years ago. In fact, all of the interstellar races have some sort of origin story tied to them.
So others with the Dexamite marker, how are they looked on their own planets?
They are considered, to the best of my knowledge, still as one race. And if they happen to have that marker, they are, depending upon their demeanor, they tend to be uplifted and upheld as, what is a way to put it? Similar to a hero here, or perhaps a great warrior of much renown, especially if said abilities place them far amongst their own kind.
So not much different as the humans view.
Is
Yes.
it accurate that there are a significant number of superpowered beings outside of Earth, or do they seem to be congregated here?
In my time here, I must say that there does seem to be a rather high amount of, I believe you refer to them as deviants of some form, but a deviation from the standard of Terran life forms. There are some throughout the interstellar races, but in my experience, only the I did not have that one ready. Hold on one second.
Hold, please.
Hold, please. Apologies because I have recently upgraded my system, and so I'm still trying to get some of the things ready. Okay, here we go.
Out of character knowledge, what did I know of anybody else of the Salanthi that had
No,
extracurricular abilities?
Mm-mm.
So I was the only one that
only
had
one
any
that you knew of. Yeah.
that I knew
Yeah,
of that
because
had
of
Dexamite
Electro.
And how
genetics.
was and how was he treated? How were you treated on your planet?
Grudgingly accepted, but I was an outsider. Yeah. Grudgingly
Free-floating
accepted
dirt.
when it was necessary. When I was growing up, I was the outcast.
The weird kid.
Mhm.
They treated him like soil. My God, that must have been horrible on that planet.
Dirt, yeah.
Yeah,
So,
considering we're aquatic.
yep.
Right.
So he says, to the best of my knowledge, only the Citramite and Gaxians possess any degree of increased differential towards the marker.
I haven't said one word in the whole conversation here
Right.
since, and I just
Yeah,
been paying
I was
attention
asking.
to him.
I was asking out
Yeah.
of character.
I say, well, I'm sure, I'm sure it's obvious. So there's no point in me keeping this on. And I pull back my shroud.
Okay.
And I'm my silver self. I mean, I'm
Yeah,
not my alternate ID. You know, I'm my true self.
Mhm.
Why is your hair shorn, Tavaxian?
Because I was captured by the Ubari in Russia.
So the Ubari are here on Earth.
Yes, they are. I've thoroughly informed the government here of New Prussia of what it is that they are attempting to do.
Are you aware of any other races that are here?
Prior to my disconnection with the Shield fleet, we do not know of any other races, which is why it came of some surprise that your signal emanated somewhere on the planet.
Why is it being blocked?
Because they do not, the Tavaxian and Ubari governments do not want anybody knowing they are here.
But
You
how would
refer
they
to that
know?
as
I
against
mean,
the law.
that
If someone were to come investigate the signal, they would find presence of the Ubari and the Tabaxi.
Correct. And it is also well known that your people are not uplifted and unready to take their place amongst the stars. Tampering with as such, as the Ubari are doing, is no doubt going to cause other additional problems.
But if we need to get a message out to other Salantians, how are we
You
going
don't.
to achieve that?
We would need to resolve this issue first and end the quarantine somehow.
That is a
But
matter
clearly
of galactic politics, unfortunately.
Noron, you mentioned you were part of a shield fleet. Is that
Yes.
a part of the Tavaxian vessel in orbit currently?
That is correct. That is what we call our military vessels. They are a part of the Tavaxian shield fleet.
Is that ship's primary purpose to enforce the quarantine or to fight the Ubari that are here?
I would refer to that as a yes.
It's both then.
Correct.
Interesting.
The Ubaris are part of the Galactic Council.
They are.
Or the Galactic Union.
That is correct.
So is this an offshoot group that is going against the quarantine?
I would not know. If anything, my hunch, I believe that is the term that you use here on this planet, is that they are desperate. They are losing the war. And therefore, they are looking for any additional assistance they might find.
So I would assume in the last 2 years, you and the Ubari have come full circle and are at all-out war with one another?
That is correct. My people are currently winning.
And what is your people's stance against the Ubari? Are you seeking their annihilation?
I am not a member of the political elite. I cannot accurately answer that question. I can, however, reiterate what I have indicated to Lightbringer, and that some of this is deemed punishment for their alliance with Tyrex the Tyrant. They
Since when did
capitulated.
they?
They
Since when did
capitulated
they
initially.
ally with him?
They capitulated initially as a means of lesser damage and to be seen as a vassal should he win.
How long has your war been going on?
Let us see. I have become
Generations.
familiar with the cycles around the sun on Earth, so I must say we have been at odds for, trying to think of the calendar date, perhaps 40 of your years.
That's an extended war.
What
There-
what
is a
is your
large galaxy.
typical lifespan?
Oh, in comparison to humans. My people, I believe, by comparison, live to be about 120 of your years.
Okay, so that's still a pretty protracted war.
It is.
Do you know what objective would need to be reached for the Devaxians to claim victory over the Ubari and end this war?
I don't, but I would surmise the cessation, the surrender of the Yubari Council.
Let's see.
Do you know anything more about the survivors of my people?
Regretfully, again, as they are a part of the Union and we are not, my information is limited. But to the best of my knowledge, many of them have wound up on the secondary planet within their system, Zuobos. I do know, because this was announced, that what remained of their sector is now under the Gaxian Confederation. So if you are seeking any remnants of your race, you may wish to start there.
Out of character, is that the clouded or that larger portion that's connecting mine?
Yep.
Where I was? Okay. Which is their home planet, do you know? Because it's not listed on the paper that you had.
Yeah, I know.
I'm making note. Okay. Do I know which one it is?
No.
No? Okay.
We live in a world where people don't know where certain states are. So imagine
Right.
living in an interstellar community with even more infinite possibilities. People would be like, "It's over that way."
Yeah. Let me pull up my machine that just tells me what to do.
Sorry.
Right, exactly. Yeah.
I need
Right.
one of those.
Hang a right at this planet.
Were they effectively adopted for protection?
Again, I am not a part of the political elite. I cannot answer these types of questions with much veracity, but I would assume so. Most of their government was destroyed with the destruction of the planet. Logic would dictate that they have likely become a satellite of the Gaxian Union, or the Gaxian Confederacy.
I will have to reach out.
How would one seek to join the Galactic Union?
That would be something you would likely need to petition directly of the council. I am unfamiliar with these particular methods, but they do hold government buildings on their own home world. So I would imagine any home world within the Galactic Union would suffice.
So we'd have to physically go there
Yes, you would.
and okay.
That would help
Would your-
prove that we would be enlightened enough to actually join said union.
Precisely.
Would your ship
First
block
test is
correspondence sent that way?
Most assuredly, the Devaxian shield fleet would block, if not destroy, any sort of ship leaving this system.
oh,
And again, we do need to actually resolve this before even attempting to leave our own solar system.
It would be for the best. While my people are currently winning the war, we have been very unsuccessful on your planet.
I understand your information about what the shield fleet is currently doing for you is limited, but do you believe that any movement from Earth to Earth's moon would be intercepted by the fleet?
That I do not know. I couldn't say.
Do your people realize that if they were to react hostilely towards the natives of this planet, they would in turn throw everything they have at them? And with the populace of superhumans, descendants of the Dexamite bloodline, if you will, your people would be in extreme danger if we all came together against them.
What my people have come to understand is that your people are not unified, and you also lack electrum. Ergo, the shield fleet does not fear Earth.
That
So
is where they
Electrum's
were mistaken.
disappearance is known amongst interstellar society even.
It is known amongst my people. I do not know if it is known amongst the rest. You have a term, I believe, on this planet. We have kept our cards close to our chest. We know by this point we would have encountered Electrum had he been here.
why is it that your people are not part of the union?
I could offer an opinion.
It's better than
I believe them to
nothing.
be cowards.
Oh,
If you recall when I spoke to you last of the Galactic Union, many of them did not wish to stand against the Duridian Khanate and their horde when they started sweeping the known interstellar races.
right.
That's not an effective union. They merely circled their ships around their own respective locations and attempted to fend them off as best as possible. Had it not been for Electrum, you'd probably be speaking Duridian.
Do the Tavaxians have any other allies?
We do, but most of them are mercenary by nature.
I see.
The last war has left a foul taste in most races' mouth, from what I understand. We would prefer to rely on ourselves as much as possible.
Interesting. With regard to the Ubari that are here on our world supplying technology to the Russians, would you know any sufficient way to inhibit them, or would you happen to know anything about the Ubari that we could use?
The Ubari here are minuscule by nature. There are not many. But their partnership with the Russians, as you refer to them, has proved very fruitful. They are seeking to weaponize the deviants on your planet, those with the marker, and they are starting to succeed. The Russians, from what I understand, at least from my own personal knowledge, had already done an exceptional job of rounding them up. So they already had ample amounts of fodder
Test
to
subjects.
experiment on.
So the Yubari are experimenting on the deviants.
To the best of their limited capability, yes. The Yubari, by nature, are not a scientific people as the Dexamites were believed to be. But they
Have
still
you
have access to higher levels of technology and science than your people are used to.
have you heard of an entity that goes by the name of mainframes?
I have not.
What do the Yubari look like?
So
They look like what you would be calling a triceratops.
but humanoid in nature.
Yes.
How big are they?
They are roughly my height, give or take several inches. Make no mistake, they are fierce warriors. Our success has been at no small cost. We just have a better zeal.
They would definitely be noticed.
That is correct.
Hyperion looks to Lightbringer. He says, with the translation module that you and the scientific divisions here have been working on, do you believe that communicating with Ubari, should they be met in the field, be possible?
I don't know if they've been uh, supplied with any Yubari language samples.
My Ubari is very minimal, but I have supplied what I can.
But it stands to reason that they speak Russian.
That is correct.
Then I will need to learn Russian.
Commander, there's a new message at your private terminal.
I can see if my resources have anything that can aid you. My resources do have a limited translation capabilities.
Perhaps between the two, we could come up with a solution for that communication issue.
And their race, as well as mine, are members of the Galactic Union. And unless these are offshoots, then it stands to reason that we would stand a better chance of communicating peaceably. But I would not count on it necessarily.
Might I
Always
offer
be
you an
ready.
opinion?
You may.
There is a church called the Precursors, dedicated to a faith of a deity called Sistrick. She is the goddess of strength and creation. They believe her to be a perfect Dexamite, and as such, many governments have outlawed this particular religion throughout the known universe. If they were aware that this planet you call Earth was indeed a hub of some kind of Dexamite living or control, there may be a church here of stragglers hiding amongst your own kind.
And what may the telltale traits of this church be?
And so he draws, a couple like symbols or like, generic sort of thing, but it's all very star-like, very heavenly body sort of thing. And he says this is roughly what some of their churches use for iconography.
What's the church called again?
The Precursors.
Does it look like anything that I have studied with my history, biology,
Yeah.
some of that stuff? What does it look like?
Like what I just told you.
Oh,
You can confirm what he's saying. It was known on Salanth because they outlawed it as well.
okay. So, thinking of that, then, my mind is going to, like, just different churches and even ancient civilizations like the Mayans and Incans and Egyptians and such like that are very prominent in history that I would know about, maybe not in detail, but like have seen certain things and whatnot. But does it match up with anything like that?
No, not entirely. You're probably going to be looking for something new at this point.
Okay. All right. Are there any symbols that stand out?
It's enough at this point that you can probably start looking around at major cities or something and seeing if you find something that is similar by design.
Noron, who would be a part of the Precursors? Various races and species, or?
That is correct, yes. Their outreach was such that they attempted to bring in any who would follow. They would no doubt have some sort of working linguistic database.
Let's see.
And being as this planet is almost a hot spot, if you will, of Dexamite manifestations, it stands to good reason that there may be a solidification of that church here.
It could very well be, especially given the fact that this is a quarantine zone. No one is supposed to be coming here. If they could hide amongst your kind, they could live in relative peace.
From what you've learned of the Precursors, do you know what a likely type of location would be for such a church?
I would not know. I'm not a follower.
Understood.
I can say at one point in time, prior to many governments outlawing their beliefs, they had churches on many major planets.
Including Zenri.
I would not be surprised.
You don't know what their tenets are, do you?
I do not. I apologize. To my understanding, they are peace-loving, but I have not encountered one in quite some time.
I wonder if they would be registered on any government religion list.
That would go against hiding yourself, but I suppose hiding in plain sight. Perhaps.
It's the Church of Scientology.
No!
I was just thinking that. That's funny.
All of a sudden,
we
start exercising all the characters for body thetans.
Well, I was expecting Tom Cruise.
Yep.
I was expecting Tom Cruise to come walking through.
Yeah, exactly.
Meanwhile, I wonder if Wheel of Fortune's on. Click.
A new card.
Oh, Price is Right.
Price is Right. Yeah.
Well, I haven't seen anything like half an hour.
That's a new record. Good job.
Oh,
Probably.
We will get you a brownie point.
Yeah.
I'm so proud of you.
Maybe we should bring back a souvenir or something.
perfect.
He'd
Bring
love a
back
new
actual-
Prussian souvenir.
Well,
Yeah,
I was
right.
thinking maybe we get
maybe
an
a flag.
no, I was thinking like an Albright plushie.
Actually, Lightbringer does have some sort of souvenir
Bring
she
him-
could give to him if she really wanted to.
I don't think he wants that.
Yeah, but he might not appreciate it as much as she did.
No, actually, what he's doing is he's just more training. He's trying to exude plasma from his body now.
That sounds painful.
Yeah. Be sure to wipe.
It sounds personal.
It's just the third
the- get-
toilet
get-
I've
Get the
melted
Teflon.
down this week.
You're
The
going to need like
Teflon toilet
10
paper.
ply for that stuff.
Well, the
Yeah.
plasma could harden. It could
Fine.
become a type of body armor that he could use as a weapon.
True.
He doesn't know. He doesn't know until he tries.
It's poop armor.
Okie doke.
No, he's like trying to like have it come out of his pores type
Yeah.
of materialization instead of just his hands.
Yeah, don't want to know. TMI.
So, back in scene.
they have right guard for that.
Oh, my.
Did you have
You have
any
the
other
power of
questions?
sun.
So, in summary, the only other race that you are aware of, other than myself, you, and the Ubari, there's none others that you are aware of here on Earth.
That is correct. Nothing official. I know of no other stragglers outside of the encounter we had with you and your signal.
Then it would seem that stopping the Ubari from fully providing the Russians with everything they need and stopping their projects on weaponizing deviants would be the next strategy to at least end the conflict on this world and begin some sort of end to the quarantine. Interesting.
I only have one question.
Of course.
The ship that is outside of the solar system or this planet, is it also there to keep others from entering and leaving this planet?
That is correct.
They're maintaining the quarantine and embargo. Right.
Is this
Because if
something
any
that
other
you're
ships show up, it obviously would implicate the Devaxian shield fleet as well.
Is this something that your people have taken upon themselves, or have they been tasked to do this?
No, we have taken it upon ourselves at this point. Once we gained knowledge that the Ubari were here, we moved it.
So if
What was your former rank?
I was a member of the Guard Elect.
Which equates to
To
high-ranking leadership?
it equates to an elite guard.
Where does that put you at roughly as far as the hierarchy of the staff of the Shield Fleet, the local Shield Fleet?
It would make me one of their elite guards. I am not a commander by any means. We are all warriors bred. As I have equated this to Lightbringer, I believe one of your nations or some of your nations have a group called the Marines, all trained as soldiers first, and then something else on top of that. I myself was a soldier, an anthropologist, sorry, not anthropologist, but xenobiology secondary.
Xenobiology.
Yes. Which was one of the reasons why I was quite happy to get this posting initially.
Are you leaving behind a family, Nora?
That is correct, yes.
I'm sorry to hear that.
As am I, but that choice was taken from me.
Do you know of any way for you to return
At least you
to
still
your
have
people?
your family.
Yeah, is there any way to regain your honor?
None that I'm aware of, now that my honor has been taken from me.
Not even to be the reason that the war was finished?
If somehow I ended the war with the victory over the Ubari, I suppose somebody might make an exception, but even that would be slim.
I'll have to keep that in mind.
I do not believe there is a precedent for it.
Do we have any further questions for our friend?
I have nothing.
It seems that you and I are in similar alienation to our families.
Well, my apologies then. I was not going to query why exactly you were here.
I was here scientifically, but with the destruction of my home world and unknowing whether or not my immediate family is alive or dead, though there are significant differences, I must admit that in light of this information, I sympathize with you.
Well, thank you. I know what that might mean, given the fact that you are aware of what my loss of hair means.
Yes. And though I bluntly do not trust you entirely, I am more inclined to be sympathetic and be willing to be open to the possibilities that you are being forthright and truthful with us.
Thank you. And then there's
It is
there's a chime that comes from a pad off to the side, and he kind of looks over to it and he goes, "Oh, excellent! It is lunchtime."
What did you order this time?
I am told that this particular dish is from a place called Carolina. Apparently, there is a specific brand of barbecue that they have for their chicken.
I have not had it.
I am looking forward to this this immense opportunity.
You will have to let me know which way is your favorite once you've tried them all.
Oh, currently the chicken of Parmesan is my favorite.
It's a good choice.
But I am, as I said, I am interested in this particular chicken dish. And of course, the door comes open, and you can see that they're bringing it, in on a tray, with some drink and food and whatnot.
You'll have to try the chicken Marcella.
I'll have to inquire about them. We have nothing like chicken where I am from, and I absolutely am in love with this miniature beast of burden.
Well, I've told that many species on this planet tastes like chicken.
Well, I am not carnivorous, so I do not attempt to, or I am not going to be tasting all of the local cuisine, only that which is actually prepared as a meal. And I do not believe Terrans are a meal.
We are not.
their diets are significantly different than mine. As a matter of fact, through testing of the composition of most other foods, even throughout the galaxy, as I'm sure you may or may not be aware, our toxic
Yes.
to me.
Your liquidious form, it obviously creates a poisonous factor with other items you wish to consume.
As well as my sustenance is quite deadly to normal Terrans.
Of course, I completely understand. And so he takes a moment and he starts like waving the scent of it up with his hands. But you can hear him, of course, sniffing, but you don't obviously see the nostril anymore.
Right.
And he's like,
Well,
"Oh yes,
I
yes.
suppose
this
we'll
this is grand."
leave you to enjoy your lunch.
And why, thank
It was-
you again. And if you happen to be in the neighborhood, do please come by. I am told that I am getting a CD player soon. So if you have any recommendations on your local music from wherever it is that you said that you came from, I would be very delighted to hear that.
Techno.
Techno. What is techno? Technological music?
It's got a very good beat.
We'll
Very danceable.
Failed to
we'll
see
send a
how the
list.
sound of machinery is something you can dance to, but very well.
Out of character. All you got to do is go.
The system.
And then just
is
throw in
down.
some.
The system
The system
is
is
down.
down.
It's down.
Flashbacks.
Yep.
Good
Stop
times.
throwing light
good
switch
times.
waves.
That cheat is grounded.
Good times.
Mhm.
So I'll stand up and nice. I'll stand up and head to the door.
Okay.
Yeah, Hyperion will follow.
Yep. And Sean keeps looking at her watch.
Okay.
Are you expecting a phone call?
No.
I walk up to Noran before we leave, and I extend a hand.
So he extends a hand as well.
Just got something planned tonight.
Then perhaps
He-
next time that you come, we can all stay for a meal together.
Sure,
Excellent.
Preferably chicken.
of course.
I put my shroud back up.
Okay.
My headpiece back up. There's no sense in me hiding it from him.
You're right.
Sure, that's fine.
Yeah.
So
It's
you
not like
you end up
anybody knows
exiting,
about
and as you're exiting, right outside the door, President Albrecht is actually waiting.
So Carmen will go give him a hug.
So he takes a large arm and wraps it around you for a side hug, and he says, "I take it you got all that you needed."
what we could.
He says that you've agreed to his terms.
Yes, he
what's the
still
plan for him?
has value to provide to us. I think his knowledge is one thing, but his expertise is another. So we're working on finding him secured housing and taking it from there.
That's great. That sounds like we have some work to do. I know this is sensitive, but it sounds like we need to take care of the Russia-Yubari problem sooner than later.
That sounds very accurate, given our estimations. And in doing so, that would obviously decrease the threat at the border. I know our friends in Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania would likely greatly appreciate that.
Do you know of the location of where the Ubari were last known or any interactions there?
We do not. However, we do have the location of several of their camps, deviant camps, that they have created. They have changed over time, but we're aware of at least 3 of them, and we're certain that these Yubari are tied to at least one.
Would you be willing to share that information with us?
Davy Jones is asking, is Latveria a thing with Doctor Doom? No, Latveria is a joke that Angler's player kept bringing up because he kept confusing Latveria with Latvia. Latvia is actually a real place. Latveria is the place in Marvel Comics.
Yeah.
Kind of like where Huggy Jesus is.
Yes. Yes. Huggy Jesus is somewhere in South America. So
It's anybody's guess where.
yes.
He just keeps choosing a country. Eventually, he's going to get the right one.
He's everywhere.
Yes.
He's everywhere.
Huggy Jesus is everywhere. So he says, I'm sorry, so what was the question again? I got distracted.
Would he be willing to share that information? Of
Oh, yes,
those
right.
locations?
He says, I would be willing if your team would be willing to actually act on it.
Are you planning on liberating these camps?
We can, however, there is an unknown factor with the Yubari and their presence. And given the fact that my country now has taken a greater position on the world stage with the other Baltic nations around us, that is not something I'm willing to directly commit to unless I know for certain that we can get in and out.
So it would be easier for a vigilante team like us than for a
That is
political military team like yours.
correct.
Would you be willing to assist us as long as the information that is given or the aid that is given would not be tied to you?
Absolutely.
Then Hyperion steps up and goes, President Albrecht, if he would be willing to relinquish that information to us, we will act on it.
Good. Then I will see to it that Sagan receives a copy, and she will bring that with you to the teleportation chamber as you are being sent back home. I will tell you that we have picked up a lead on your friend, and you may wish to start investigating Transnistria.
Trans what?
Transnistria.
Transnistria.
Gesundheit.
I was thinking the same thing.
To clarify, by friend, are you referring to mainframe?
That is correct, yes.
Do you know what his activities have been in this Transnistria?
Transnistria as a unrecognized part of Moldova still claims and clings to the Russian democracy system of non-democracy, that which is communism. They still see all the value in that, despite the fact that the Soviet Union has fallen. As you can imagine, given the fact that they are not technically a country, even though others, even though they see themselves as one, all manner of illegal and illicit activity goes through that particular area. I do believe you'll start to find some of those shipments coming in and out bear interesting fruit. And I don't mean just illegal guns and arms.
Right. Understood. Excellent. As I mentioned, yes, we will act on this. We will prepare, see what we can do as soon as possible. It does seem imperative that this conflict must be resolved in order for us to be ready for any incoming conflict, especially from Tyrix the Tyrant.
Very well.
Especially as it's there's no way of knowing at this point, but if the Yubari were allied or at least subservient to Tyrax, we certainly don't want to chance him communicating with them here.
I hadn't actually thought of that, but excellent point. We don't need. We wouldn't want him to have additional resources on the ground already.
We have our work cut first, team.
For I don't know if peace of mind would be the correct terminology with it, but would it be a fair assumption that in the event of an attack by Tyrex, we would stand together in defense of this world?
Are you asking me if my country is going to stand with the legacy?
I am not saying we would take the lead on this. I am saying that we'd stand together in the event that something like that would happen.
It goes without saying because you have my granddaughter.
And you seem like a reasonable man.
He chuckles. That is quite the interesting comment coming from your team.
I think it's also quite the interesting comment coming from me with the history that you and I have. But with
We have
aside
a history.
from the past.
He actually looks genuinely confused.
Did he, out of character, did he not know that it was me whose ship he had? No, we had this discussion.
No, yeah, you
Like
were
direct-
at dinner and you had your little kerfuffle, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's not
I
really a
see.
history to him. That's just
No.
It's just
that's just you being
Yeah.
upset over the issue.
Yeah.
It was Tuesday.
Upset.
Exactly. For me, it was a Tuesday.
Yeah. The conflict with my ship, but that's water under the bridge, honestly. But I believe that hopefully through what allies you may have and what allies we may have, we could put together a solidified front to defend this world.
Well,
I know that this is not something that is on the table right now, but it is something that I think is worth mentioning.
Understandable, but it sounds like perhaps Lightbringer has not communicated to you the ideas that she's already had. So perhaps you
Which
may wish
ideas?
for your coalition of heroes.
Oh, the bar. Yeah, I didn't get that far.
He just chuckles. He says, "Conversation for the ride home."
The
Duly
5-second ride home.
Correct.
Yeah, while we're like,
Yep.
Yeah, she's trying to talk about this business prospect.
Speaking of,
as we're like in the middle of being demolecularized.
yeah, right.
we should probably get going.
We have much to do.
So he hugs Lightbringer once again and has the science police take you back to the transport pad.
Thank you, President.
He nodded politely. Sagan hops up. She's got a little satchel of some things.
A satchel.
And 5 to beam away. Poof.
Bam.
And you are back in Strongford, and that's where we're going to end for the night.
Oh, I didn't get to ask what your thing was tonight.
Die Hard 2 and banana cream pie.
That's only half the story.
So,
Guess we'll have to save it for next time.
yeah. So take it easy, Davy Jones. Yeah. So our next game for this is going to be on October the 14th at 6 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. Coming up next week, we are going to have Cyberpunk on Wednesday at 7 p.m. And then we're going to have Street Fighter, hopefully, on 7 p.m. on Thursday. And then Saturday, this next Saturday, we'll actually be picking back up our regular
Friday?
characters for the most part in
Oh,
Ashen
yeah,
by
Saturday.
Night in the
Sorry.
Blood Ties game. And then on the 13th at 7:30 p.m., we'll be picking back up with Ashen by Night, The Dark West, Episode 2.
And I survived.
And we'll see just how many more people end up surviving or if we get any more DED. So thank you guys all for tuning in and hanging out with us. Thank you for the chatter. Hope you guys enjoyed the game, and we will catch you again next time. Good night, guys.